Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to feature some information on Tuesday related to our Defeat Breast and Prostate Cancer campaign. This is a campaign that focuses on getting people to commit to take better care of themselves, and that's what healthcare should really be promoting these days. Doesn't really do a very good job of it. So the way that our campaign works is if you sign a pledge card saying that you're going to take care of yourself in very specific ways, like you're going to eat better, move more, reduce the stress, that sort of thing, we give you a $100 gift card, which you can use toward our courses. And if you get 25 other people to sign that pledge card, we give you an additional $100 gift card, which you can use toward our courses. All right. So some of our courses are really inexpensive, and that would be a good head start on signing up for one. So if you want to participate in that, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. You also will get access to a platform that has it's passcode protected, but it has lectures on diet and cancer and breast cancer, prostate cancer articles, that sort of thing. So lots of goodies for free, and people like free stuff, I found in my career, if you want to participate in our campaign. So send me an email if you'd like to do that. And then you guys, I think, know that I talk about other types of topics Wednesday through Friday. You have to be a subscriber to get to that stuff. So if you're not currently getting those videos about other topics, then I think you know what I mean. Send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. All right, so today I want to talk about mammography specifically. The screening tests are an issue, and the focus of a lot of campaigns, including the October's Breast Cancer Month and September is Prostate Cancer Month, the focus is often on screening, early detection, and then the rest of it is pink M&Ms and junk food with the right color and ribbons and all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk about mammography because it leads to a lot more overdiagnosis than reducing the death rate, more harm than benefit. A lot of people don't understand it. They think it's all upside, no downside. And by the way, next week I'll talk about men and cancer screening as well. So this week's women, next week's men. So everybody thinks it's all upside, no downside, but there is a downside, and I'm going to explain that here. So this particular study was published in 2017, and it shows that the use of screening mammography didn't have much effect on breast cancer mortality, but did increase the risk of overdiagnosis. And overdiagnosis leads to overtreatment. And when you overdiagnose and overtreat people who don't have cancer, it's all risk and no benefit. So the study was conducted in the Netherlands. And since 1989, women between the ages of 50 and 69 have been encouraged to get screened every 2 years. And then in 1997, that was extended to women between ages of 70 and 75. And then in 2006, digital mammography came in. And of course, the whole idea between digital mammography and ultrasound and all the bells and whistles they come up with is to try to make it more accurate. Well, it isn't working out so well. So Philippe Bautier and researchers tracked women who were screened between 1989 and 2012, determined that the incidence of stage 2 to 4 breast cancer in women 50 years of age and older was about the same before and after screening. So in 1989, it was 168 per 100,000, and 2012, it was 166. So not a meaningful or statistically significant difference. So what should happen when you start screening women at this age is that you should start detecting more cancer that is the aggressive type that kills you, not cancer, right? Like dark carcinoma in situ is not cancer. All right, the researchers reported that screening reduced the death rate between 1% and 5%. And that sounds good until you consider that it increases the risk of overdiagnosis and overtreatment by 32%. Furthermore, the introduction of digital mammography and recommendations to screen women who are 70 and older has contributed to overdiagnosis rather than a reduction in the death rate. In other words, the metric we should all be looking at when you're talking about cancer screening is it reducing the death rate? Having cancer isn't a problem unless it kills you, right? So if you're not reducing the death rate, then what is the screening program doing? And in fact, women 70 years of age and older were 2 times more likely to be overdiagnosed than women aged 50 to 69. And at the end of this, I'll tell you why that becomes such a problem, screening older people, all right? According to Dr. Atier, quote, these observations are in line with other data showing that the replacement of film-based mammography by digital mammography has substantially increased the burden of in situ breast tumors without decreasing rates of interval cancers. Now, if you're not familiar with the term interval cancers, these are tumors that develop in between mammograms, which are more likely to be deadly. Audier went on to say, quote, "It strongly suggests that the advent of digital technologies has probably worsened the overdiagnosis problem without clear evidence for improvements in the ability of screening to curb the risk of breast cancer death. The metric that I said earlier is the one that actually counts." He says, "The main purpose of cancer screening is to catch the cancer at an early stage before it becomes metastatic disease. If screening works, then you must observe a decreased incidence in the burden of advanced poor prognosis cancer in the population. While we've seen decreases in the incidence rate of advanced cervical and colorectal cancer, the same thing has not been true for breast cancer." Audier goes on to say that he expected that mammography would be effective, but the failure of mammography in reducing the death rate, quote, "is something that is being observed not just in the Netherlands, but in other countries where there's a lot of screening, including the United States." Gilbert Welch is a medical doctor who's published several books on the excesses of medicine, and he's published research showing similar findings about mammography. He says an important message is that you don't solve the problem by throwing more technology at it. Adding an ultrasound, adding an MRI, adding digital mammography, this only makes the problem of overdiagnosis worse. The harder for you look for this stuff, the more likely you are to get into the overdiagnosis problem. He says, "We've overstated its benefit and understated its harms. It can lead a woman to be treated for breast cancer who would otherwise never need to know about it." In other words, there are many cancers that you'll die with and not of. And all of this technology we have to detect early stage cancer, a lot of women and a lot of men are being diagnosed with the cancer that they would not require treatment for and would likely die with and not of. So he also commented on cancer screening in general. This is Dr. Welch, stating that, quote, "When you start getting older, you don't want to be doing any kind of cancer screening. It creates more problems than it solves. It leads to a lot more procedures. You end up getting medicalized, and some people have surgery." Welch says that women between the ages of 70 and 75 are more likely to be harmed, and, quote, "I know it's counterculture message, but I think it's the truth." So the key here, and I'll just share a story with you that illustrates the point. I was in my car one day, turned on the radio, I was tuned into a talk show or a news program, and the anchor was interviewing a woman who was dealing with or heading up the Race for the Cure in New York back in the days when life was somewhat normal. And of course, all the pink ribbons, and it's October and all this kind of stuff going on, right? So he asked her to tell her story, and she said, "I got a mammogram last year in February, everything was fine. Then I found a tumor on my own in the shower, and it turned out to be stage 3 breast cancer, so I had a mastectomy, and I had chemotherapy," and she tells her happy ending story. So obviously the mammogram didn't work. She had stage 3 cancer in the fall, and she was given a clean bill of health in February. Isn't the mammogram supposed to detect the cancer early, right? So at the end of the program, the anchor says to her, the person conducting the interview, "What advice do you have for the people listening to this right now?" And she says, "Well, you know, women, we always put ourselves last, and I hate that simpering nonsense anyway." But she says, "Take the time, go get that mammogram." And I'm like screaming in the car, "Lady, it didn't help you at all. So why are you racing for the cure, telling women to get mammograms when you can't even give a firsthand testimonial that it helped you?" But her issue, the fact that she developed what's called an integral cancer, is what I was talking about. It's why I wanted to share the story with you. All right, that's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you tomorrow with more news on a different channel, of course. Thank you for watching.